This is Bad Boys Pilipinas. Hello mga kalaro, welcome to the first ever episode of Bad Boys Pilipinas, ang show kung saan pag-uusapan ng dalawang sportito ang kanilang paboritong NBA team. Walang iba kundi ang Detroit Pistons. I am Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon at sinasamahan ako ngayon ng bagong sportito, si Greg Rodriguez. Hi Greg!
Mas tabatito ako eh.
Tabatito, hindi sportito. Sportito ka na rin eh. Yung pinakabagong sportito natin dito sa Laro-Laro lang. Yon. Anyway, let's get the ball that don't lie rolling. Ito Greg, tanong ko sa'yo, bakit ba natin ito ginawa? Why are we here? Bakit bigla tayong gumawa ng show tungkol sa Detroit Pistons samantalang kung tutuusin natin, ang karamihan ng mga Pinoy fans, either fans sila ng LA Lakers, Golden State, or baka pati ngayon, pati na rin ng Milwaukee Bucks.
Correct. Halos wala kang piston yata.
Oo nga eh. I mean, we're both part of yung mga group. May mga groups tayong kasama tayo, di ba?
Pero konti yun compared sa, like, meron tayong messengers ng mga Pinoy, pero alam mo yun, the number sa buong bansa, konti. Ako, nung sinabi mo sa akin na yes ako agad, I mean, in other sports, kasi alam mo naman parang hindi naman talaga hindi yung basketball yung main thing ko, parang I enjoy it, I love it, pero mas nasa arts field talaga ako, but I'm a Pistons fan. Pero nung sinabi mo sa akin na gagawin siya, nag-guess ako agad. Honestly, dahil for me, feeling ko now's the time ng Piston. Finally. Ito yung decade since naging relevant tayo ng 80s. Kasi for me, yung 2010 to 2020, walang nangyari sa Piston. Like, nag-champion tayo hanggang 80s, 90s, tapos 2000, tapos 2010 onwards.
Wala na.
Parang every year, may sinasabi lang, ito na, wala.
Yung sinasabing rebuild, di ba? Rebuild.
Rebuild. Tapos sabi na, now's the first time we're gonna rebuild. Parang, oh my God, isang dekada tayo guys nagre-rebuild. Hindi pa ba rebuild yan? Anong tawag niyo doon?
Exactly.
Anyway, dahil sakto ngayon na meron tayong first draft, honestly for me, like, no matter what happened, at least this is the first na parang, and kita mo naman, last season, the past ay there is something with a young team. I think like first dati kasi alam mo yun, may Drummond ka pa isa-isa, alam mo yun. Ngayon parang okay, sabay-sabay sila. This team may chance. May good vet, mayroong ganyan, and good coach. I'm not sure about the organization yet, pero at least, diba? So ako, parang sabi ko, okay, pwede tayong mauna. Pwede tayong mauna.
Yun din yung parang mauna tayo kasi I mean, I'm sure since we've got a very impressive young core now with the Pistons and then they showed a lot of promise from last year. Diba? Dalawa sa kanila nag-all rookie team, diba? Tapos although yung top pick natin last year hindi pa siya gaanong nagpapakita kasi nga medyo bata tapos na-injure and whatever. And then this year, meron tayong top pick, number 1 pick for the first time ever. Diba? Tama ba? For the first time ever, the Pistons got the number 1 pick or second ba?
Huli, 80s ba?
Si Isaiah Thomas na. Who was the number 2? Number 2 pick si Isaiah Thomas.
Pero
before.
yung number 1 natin ay
si Bob Lanier yata pa eh.
Correct.
From way before pa. And so after a very long time.
Okay naman siya.
After a very long time, finally, no, na meron na tayong and then I'm sure as the team continues to mature together, hopefully they do mature together at walang matitrade, walang aalis or anything like that.
Hopefully.
Magkakaroon ng following especially among Filipino fans na yun tama pareho katulad lang sinabi mo no, sabihin natin na we were here first, no, although katulad like what we said, marami na tayong mga Pinoy din na Pistons fans. Shout out dun sa meron tayong yung GC natin na Detroit Pistons PH, tapos yung Detroit Pistons Philippines na Facebook group, no, na kung saan doon ko nakita na parang, marami rin palang mga Pinoy talaga na Pistons. Marami rin. Hindi sing tulad ng LA Lakers, ng kung sino pang mga famous na NBA teams. Pero meron Ganon din pala. Nakakagulat.
Actually, pag tinignan ko nga yung Pinoy basketball, yung alam ko, or hindi ko sasabi PBA kasi mas dad ko tsaka mga tito ko yung super fan talaga ng PBA. Pero basketball culture sa barangay whatever, alas ako iniisip ko parang, alam mo dapat mas maraming Pistons fan sa Pinas eh.
Di ba?
Kasi sobrang Pinoy nung what they stand for ever since.
Exactly.
Misunderstood, defense, team. It's about team. Hindi tayo maasa sa superstar kahit may superstar. Working class, alam mo yon, laging underdog. Walang umaasa sa kanila. Alam mo yon. So sa akin, yun din eh.
Parang napakalaking question mark na parang bakit hindi ganun karami yung Pinoy Pistons fans?
Dapat madami, 'di ba? Sa ugali pa lang eh.
Pero yun na nga. Moving forward, tingin ko naman, dadami na yan. Dadami at makikita na yung history ng Pistons. Yun.
Once the grit of Pistons, kung what I've always believed they are, and I think what they always will because of the place, na where they are, like working class, grit, magkakasama yan eh. Once that kind of culture shows up, na hindi na aagawin ng ibang team yung grit, na for a long time na i-injit ako parang ganun dapat yung Pistons eh. Yun dapat eh. Nung nag-grit and grind, sabi ko ganyan dapat yung Pistons eh. Nung lumitaw yung gritty na Miami, yung recently, sabi ko ganyan dapat eh. Anyway, ito na yan.
Ito na yun. Hopefully, ito na yung start talaga of something big for the Pistons. Before we get into that, we talked about the topic. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Before that, of course, alamin muna natin. Greg, ikaw, kailan ka ba nag-start maging Pistons fan?
Sasabi ko mahaba-haba kasing kwento yan.
Yeah. Kwento ng tito.
Noong bata pa ako. Honestly, pinalaki talaga ako sa ang alam ko talagang laro kahit hindi ako nanonood masyado ng sports TV kasi bihira din naman nun talaga sports. I mean, wala kaming cable. Alam ko talaga ay football, no. Pero my dad na kahit bihira may barkada, minsan mag-invite yan, was a Bulls fan.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yung dad ko Bulls fan. Exactly. So, medyo ako late na naging Pistons fan. Pero yung second nila na three-peat, naalala ko yun, na nakita ko isang player na wala siyang ginagawa, talon lang siya ng talon, hustle lang siya ng hustle. Pwede siya si Rodman. Eventually, he becomes like, alam mo, I kinda like this guy. Like parang, kunwari, kung magpa-flop siya, hindi siya aarte like he didn't. Like he knows he's doing it. He's not denying na, wala namang flop. Like most. Actually, doon ako naasar sa mga nagpa-flop eh. Like, talaga aarte kayo na hindi nyo sinadya. I-mean nyo, i-intend nyo. So, I like his attitude like that. Na feeling mo makikipag-away. Pero honestly, I doubt na makikipag-away talaga si Rodman na suntukan sa labas. Like, it's not him. As we already know, iba siya talaga personally. So, nagustuhan ko muna si Rodman talaga. And then my dad just told me, kung talaga gusto mo si Rodman, yung talagang totoong Rodman, going from where he is right now. At alam niya dahil Bulls fan siya eh. Ang alam ko Bulls fan siya talaga. Sabi niya, go back sa Bad Boys. Sabi, ang ganda ng pangalan Bad Boys. So, pero kasi hindi ako super basketball, pero because, as you know, I love stories and all that, na parang I always gravitate towards that kind of may storya, may culture, may klaseng vibe. So at that time ang nakilala ko agad ay ang una ko papakilala sa akin si Zik, si Bilamir, tsaka si Rodman. For a long time kasi hindi naman ako talaga really into basketball eh. Like, so yun yung tatlo na kilala ko up until na-rejuvenate siya ng matagal. Like, fan ako ng tatlo Like, I know them but walang YouTube eh. Like, hindi mo na mapapanood. Again, kahit early 2000 wala kaming cable. We're not that para magka-cable. TV kami. Alam mo yun,
Wala,
tapos na yung Pistons eh.
Oo.
Eh hindi naman kami sports family talaga. Hindi, medyo sports side sila pero sa football, pero hindi kami bumibili ng magazines. Wala kaming ganun. So, it's all about the kwentos and that, ganyan, ba't siya magaling, like kung parang bakit walang kwentang team daw yung si Pistons, the more sinasabi ng dad ko. Ganun yung ano namin yung family namin. We love arguing with each other. Sabi ko, feeling ko may hindi totoo dyan sa sinasabi mo. parang di sila talaga talented kaya sila kailangan gawin nila yon. The usual. The usual. Dahil Bulls fan nga Ermat ko. Pero konti lang to And then, at early 2000, kailan pumasok si Ben Wallace ulit?
Mga early 2000s, 2001, 2000.
Early 2000, di ba? Like, come out from nowhere, small forward, a misplaced person started showing up in Pistons. Parang, oh, nice. So, nasa radar ko na siya parang, and then, dun talaga ako mas nagano dahil sa go to work. Like, like, for both sides, mas, like, story-wise, maano ako sa Bad Boys talaga. Yung gusto ko, like, sorry, like, gusto ko talaga si William Beer. Like, what he's doing and all that. Like, kahit ano sabihin niyo sa akin, gusto ko si William Beer. Pero, kumbaga, like, supporting, like, sa friends, sa barkada, na kung saan ako, is, it was the time when it was the go-to-work na. Especially, most sa village na ay Lakers. Tapos at the time ay alam mo yun, like I mean alam naman out of their prime pero I think that's the first time you saw first five na mapupunta sa Hall of Fame.
Tama.
Am I right?
Tama.
Diba? First five mo is in Hall of Fame. Sabi ko kahit pa paano may respeto ka doon kasi pagdating sa finals kahit sabi mo out of their prime they know what they're gonna do. And kung hindi na injure si Malone doon mahirap na laban actually yun honestly, kinakalimutan ng iba na hindi talaga nag-work yung team. Malakas yung team na yun, yung LA na yun. Kala nyo lang hindi. Like, fine, Gary Payton doesn't like the triangle. I mean, I guess na ano siya sa Bulls. Yung triangle. Kasi he likes controlling the game.
Yes.
Alam mo yun. The triangle, it renders itself, alam mo yun, the point guard becomes more of a shooting guard talaga. Alam mo yun. And ganun. So, pero that's a good team. So, ever since noon, sinuporta ko na. And then, nagtayo na film, tapos na-meet ko kayo. Tapos first time kong nakakilala ng outside sa inner circle ko talaga na nakatrabaho na Pistons fan, which is you. Yeah. And then, inopen mo pa ako sa mas marami pang history. Like, at that time, nung alam ko na go to work, syempre, nababalikan ko na. Pero may konti ng YouTube na sinabi mo na sa akin yung mga teammates nila. Yung iba pa. Diba? Yun na yun. So, sila Dumars, like how underrated Dumars was and everything. Oo nga naman. Dumars was that guy. I should have so Dumars. Kasi that's the guy na kung ayaw nyo sa lahat, sa buong Pistons, you would like Dumars.
Oh.
I don't think anyone hates him.
Yeah. I mean, the sportsmanship award is called the Joe Dumars Award.
Correct.
Diba? Very, very ironic na player siya ng Bad Boys Pistons pero sa kanya nakapangalan ang sportsmanship award.
At hindi maintindihan ng tao talagang they are what they are saying what Pistons is. Dumars wouldn't lie to you or would deny if he thinks something is wrong. Right? But he never denied anything they did.
Yeah.
It means they were doing it because they really believe, which is for me the true story is everybody was doing it.
Yun naman talaga. I mean,
everybody was doing it.
Saan ko ba napanood ko yun na parang
they just worried with pride.
Yeah.
Difference.
Oo. So parang si the Lakers parang na-interview yata si Magic yata yung na-interview. Si James Worthy. Na-interview si James Worthy. Doon sa 34-30 ng Bad Boys. Na parang when they were slated to meet the Pistons in the 88 finals, sinabi nila, okay lang yan. Sinabi, kasi they hardly met the Pistons kasi nga East versus West, di ba?
Correct,
and that was the first time that they would meet them in a playoff series. So, sinabi ni James Worthy, sinabi ni James Worthy, okay lang yan. Dumaan na kami sa sa Boston Celtics, dumaan na kami sa Philadelphia 76ers.
Exactly.
Mas rough yung laro ng mga teams na yun eh. 'Di ba? So itong Pistons hindi wala to. Ganun yung ano eh. So the era was really that. It was really a very physical era. So yung mga
I wouldn't say na hindi nila pinush ang Pistons the pushing comes from I honestly believe yung pushing comes with no remorse. Yun lang yun.
Yes.
Like they're not trying to hide it.
Yes. Oh, yun
like
yung ano doon na parang kailangan niyo ng kailangan niyo may gawing gawing villain. O sige, kami na yung villain pero you're good at what we're doing, di ba? Ganun yung ano doon.
Yung di nila maintindihan noon, before those years na hindi sila ganon, they never get calls and they always get literal beat up then. People were beating them up and lagi silang nasa disadvantage. And I'm pretty sure the story of what Detroit Pistons would be different if hindi sinabi ni kaya ako rin gusto si Rodman, in fairness, nag-start the story. Kung hindi niya sinabi yung thoughts niya
kay Bird.
Because I think I really believe that's where everything starts. I mean, I disagree with him that's na pino-profile niya, no? I kind of disagree, pero I get what he was saying.
Yes.
At that time. Siguro, mag-exaggerate of course siya, no? Like, alam mo yun. Pero, he's not saying Bird is an average naman talaga. Of course, that's part of the competition. But he was saying there's an extra push because Bird was that. And ever since, and if you look at the history, the moment na sinabi nila yun, that's where the Bad Boys, alam mo yun, really full force. Like, you know what? Kami yung ano nyo eh, lagi nyo kaming dinudurog physically. Alam mo yun? Tapos, wala kayong respeto sa amin. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Like, this team na hindi big market, we're gonna ruin your whole narrative of this.
Ruin. Yun actually.
That's what I like. Because NBA has always that. Let's admit it. It's a private company. They want to win. They want a battle for certain people, and that's why I think they are hated. At that time. Yeah, eventually they were hated for tama din naman na alam mo yun, if I'm a fan kabila may hate, but in general there was really a push for it.
I mean tama, I mean yun din talaga yung isa sa mga reasons kung bakit talaga ako naging fan ng Pistons kasi they were always tama yung sinabi mo, they were underdogs, nobody really thought that they would win.
Correct.
At the fact yung sinabi mo, they disrupted the storyline.
Correct.
Diba? Kasi yung kwento nun, Bird and Magic revived the NBA from near death kasi near death na siya nung late 70s eh. So Bird and Magic came in, they saved the NBA from its demise. Tapos 1984, may dumating na sobrang flashy, sobrang galing na scorer, 'di ba? And yun na yun dapat. It was from Bird and Magic. The next one in line was supposed to be Michael Jordan na.
Parang kung magkakaroon sa finals at matatapos na yung era ng Boston Celtics versus Lakers. It should have been Bulls. Bulls
na talaga ring pero yun yung the fact na the Bad Boys Pistons disrupted that yung transition na yun. Sobrang nagustuhan ko sila for that.
Ako din like parang you know what, they in short totoong anti-hero. Like of course there's a certain level of alam mo na the word parang hole in them to be like that. There's a grit there. There's a confidence there to be that. But most people doon outside the game, if people ask them what those were gentlemen, nakakalimutan ng mga tao outside that, ang culture ng Pistons, they have to alam mo yun, present themselves well professionally. Outside it's like that, pero competition is competition. And ano nga ba yun, ang naalala ko sa lahat ng pinakagusto ko pag naririnig ko yun na parang they have to do that because wala silang talent. And I would instantly say, nakita mo na ba yung Golden State Warriors ng 80s?
Sino ba yung 80s ng Warriors? Sino ba yung Warriors ng 80s? My God.
Pistons.
Okay.
I mean, for me, like, sino may pinakamaraming at that time record ng threes and all during
Gets.
that time.
Okay, yeah.
Diba? And a defensive team, like, come on, yung pick ng, kumbaga, in this day of age, yung screen nila ng Golden State, it's like the thing din naman of, like, maybe not the physicality of it, but at that time, Bilang Beer was stretch
5 siya eh. Tama. Siya yung pinakaunang stretch big actually.
They were shooting 3 team. They're good pick and roll and 3 team. They have the record in those times. So, you cannot tell me that they're not good. They're actually advanced for their time. I mean, they always got people with... Kaya yung pick and roll nila was dangerous because there's always someone, alam mo yun, in that time that would be, alam mo yun, a 3 threat.
Yeah. Tama.
So, a time na circus lang ang 3. And that was 80. So, sabi ko, come on. that team was good. Okay.
Yun. And the fact that, kumbaga, they weren't given any favors talaga.
And they weren't...
they weren't given any favors. They clawed their way into getting a seat at the table. Yun yung...
Correct.
Yun yung ano talaga eh. That's what marked the Pistons, and that's what really got me really to become a fan of the Pistons back then.
Agree. Ako din, yun din yan.
Yun.
So it always started with Rodman, of what he is, and then that alternating ego of who he really was as a person na you see in Detroit. And like for a guy to cry for winning Defensive Player of the Year, and that's his dream, sabi ko, I love it. So from then on, parang yun, Pistons. And then you had the next team go to work.
Yes.
Super lovable team na embodies what Pistons is without being, alam mo yun, hated by a lot of people.
One thing I have to note though, again, still about the Bad Boys Pistons, malalaman mo kung gaano ka lakas, kasi for example, gaano kalakas ang isang player if the NBA changes the rules to stop that player from doing what he does well, di ba?
Yeah.
So yun, kaya nagkaroon ng 5-second back down rule dahil kay Charles Barkley at saka kay Shaq.
Isa, I forgot ko sino pero
basta yung mga ganun na mga parang nagkaroon ng mga panibagong rules dahil sobrang effective ng isang player at doing what he did. Di ba? Yung NBA, eto, Bulls fans will deny this to their graves.
Yeah, of course.
But the Bad Boys were the reason kung bakit nag-implement yung NBA ng bagong flagrant foul rules.
Yeah.
Dahil nga, yun, sinasabi nila, nagiging masyado ng pasakitan.
Yeah.
But that's the physical nature of basketball.
Correct.
Wala pa
other teams were punching other teams at the time.
Diba?
But then, it just so hard. Hindi ka makadrive sa gitna.
Oo.
Because no hesitation
na-perfect kasi sa ng Pistons talaga yung
I think it's about the hesitation thing. Like, may enforcer bawat team. Right? And tapos may a little bit of there na willing gawin yung isa na maliit na hindi halata. Right? But it's the whole Piston this time. And no one will hesitate.
Yes.
Alam yun? Hindi mo kailangan sabihin sa kanila na gawin. Sa ibang team kasi, sasabihin sa kanila. The intimidation is part of their game. So, yun. Ganon. Kaya ako gusto. Tas yun. And then, I ended up, minsan sabi ko, like even if MJ is my GOAT, sabi ko,
Press tayo. I mean, I'm a fan of Michael Jordan as a player. I think that he's the GOAT, pero...
But he's a crybaby in those
Yes.
Alam mo, let's admit,
yes.
I love Jordan. Honestly, I love Jordan. Among the greats, siya yung pinakagusto ko more than anyone sa greatest sa top. Kung top lang pag-uusapan natin, more than Kareem, more than anyone, si Jordan lalagay ko doon. Mas mataas lang si Rodman. Pero outside that, but I know he was a crybaby in time. Like, I'm not gonna deny that.
Oo. Hindi naman talaga hindi dapat ikailan ng even ng mga Jordan fans na ganun talaga si Jordan noon.
Ganun talaga. I mean, the refs follow him.
Yeah. Yun. So, na-exaggerate na lang.
Correct.
Ngayon.
Correct,
But anyway, that's not something that we're going to talk about now. Maybe later on we'll talk about that. Yun. So, I guess it's safe to say na ang paborito mo ring Detroit Pistons na
Yes.
team are the Bad Boys.
Are the Bad Boys. Honestly, they should parang as a play style, parang gusto ko rin talaga yung go to work, no? How they do things. Like I think that one is, alam mo yun, without the issues. Alam mo yun. But it's the issues and stories around Bad Boys that I like them so much. Ayun. So, kaya yes, Bad Boys ako.
Bad Boys talaga. Oh, tama. Kasi we've been talking about it. Bad Boys really, they dominated an era where the entire league was physical.
Yeah.
Diba? And they didn't just dominate their opponents physically. They dominated their opponents mentally. Diba? Yun yung nila eh. Mind games eh. Sobrang galing din nila dun eh.
And if outside fans want to know a story na unbiased, honestly, na hindi pinroduce nung sariling grupo, go check ESPN 30 for 30.
Diba? Yun eh.
Because that's that docu-series is they tried out the best that they can to, alam mo yun, hindi Pistons ang nagbayad nun. No one in the Pistons produced it and whatever for that to happen. So, if you want to know what we have always believed, nung napanood ko yun, parang nabigyan, nung sabi mo sa akin panoorin ko, nabigyan ng, yun, like parang, sabi sa inyo eh.
Oo,
diba?
Ganun yeah. Iba
So,
talaga yung nila. Yeah, parehas
ikaw ang Pistons mo ay?
Well, ako rin naman. Bad Boys talaga. Yung ko. I mean, that's where I started. That's where I started becoming a fan. Kasi nung ako ay bata pa.
Wala pa yung Cubao nun, Araneta eh. Charot din.
Wala pa yung Cubao Araneta sa pananaw ko kasi nasa Cebu ko eh. Yun. So, hindi ko pa alam yung Cubao Araneta. So yun. So ang nangyari lang nun, actually yung unang basketball team ko talaga San Miguel. Diba? Kasi nakapanood ako ng TV show, nakapanood ako ng game. Pangat pa yung reception ng namin nun sa Cebu. Nakanood ako ng lalaking lumipad, no? Naglakad sa ere, si Samboy Lim. Yun talaga yung all-time idol ko eh. Kaya ako naging basketball fan. Tapos na-introduce ako, na-introduce ako sa Pistons for a bit because 89-90 naging champion sila. Medyo nagkaroon ng mga I think nagkaroon pa humiram pa kami ng Betamax tape pa yun. Tapos na laro ng Pistons. Tapos feeling ko kaya lang talaga ako naging fan ng Pistons kasi kakulay nila yung paborito kong superhero na si Superman. Yun. It wasn't until later on na talagang na nakita ko yung history ng Pistons, nakita ko yun again going back to how they basically clawed their way into becoming champions. They weren't supposed to be champions.
They weren't
diba?
supposed to be.
They weren't. I mean, everyone was really banking on Jordan to succeed Bird and Magic. Pero they just sinira nila yung kwento, kumbaga.
Yep.
Yun ang sobrang nagustuhan ko about the Pistons back then. And then yun, all the way until going to work. No? Yun na yung talagang naging
Yeah, like Isaiah being, alam mo yun, for me, betrayed by his best friend.
Mga yung drama. may drama yung kwento nila eh. Yun. And then yun. Yeah. So yung team ko din talaga, Bad Boys talaga. Bad Boys din. Although, yun, paras tayo, I appreciated going to work kasi
matanda na tayo nun eh.
No, matanda-tanda na tayo nun. So, yun na rin yung parang after nagkaroon din ng drought eh. After 1990, walang nangyari. May Grant Hill sana kaso hindi naman talaga.
It was the first superstar after Zeke, pero the team was
hindi ganun ka hindi makalagpas. Hindi makalagpas. So yun, yung going to work again and I guess siguro the fact that medyo nagpa-parallel yung kwento at the very least ng going to work Pistons sa Bad Boys. Na parang they were sort of misfits.
Yep.
Diba? Wala namang kahit sino sa kanila na pegged as going to become like a generational star.
Rashid, diba?
Oo, Jailblazer. Tsaka kumbaga medyo humina na si Shid especially nung dumating siya sa Pistons.
Yep.
Hindi na siya as dominant as he was in Washington and Portland.
Yep.
Pero it was it was the fact that they were able to hold their opponents below 60
Correct. At the time,
for consecutive games, 'di ba? Grabe. Sobrang and yeah, defense, the whole idea, the whole concept of defense, yun talaga yung naging yun talaga
I think
nagustuhan ko sa kanila.
if in my memory, that was the start when NBA started pushing for more offense.
Yes.
Because I think it would hindi sila nag-create ng mga rules to push it more. Like it would have been stagnant for the rest of that decade. I'm pretty sure aabot din tayo sa ngayon. Pero I think napabilis dahil nakita nila yung points. Like Pistons did that thing consistently and suddenly everyone is thinking, okay, we have to do that the following year. Alam mo yun, parang all-time low yung score.
Yung scoring.
So, sabi na, no, we have to speed it up. And then, yan, kasalanan nyo na naman.
Again, babalik tayo dun. Because of the Pistons, nagbinago ng NBA yung rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Yun. Makikita mo yung significance ng team
Sobra.
Yun. Hindi lang siya basta-basta isang player, buong team. Dahil sa buong team, binago yung rules yan. Nag-tilt na ngayon towards offense.
Correct.
Yun. Ngayon, ito naman, Greg, when it comes to favorite player, Pistons player of all time,
which is obviously si
Rodman.
Parang, ang akin is Rodman, Zeke, tapos toss up between sobrang respetado kasi si Dumars. Like for what he is talaga. It's so hard not to like him.
Not as a manager lang, no? As a player.
Wag natin pag-usapan yun. Hindi naman siya bad.
Not as a manager nung towards the end. Pero nung simula kasi siya naman yung nag-put together nung going to work.
He did the 2000 go to work Pistons. I mean, let's just give him that na iba na yung nasa isip niya after that. Go to work. I like Dumars. But just because of what Pistons is, I like Bilambir. Honestly. Like, people can hate me for that. Like, sobrang sama niya ginagawa. Yeah. I like him.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, Bilambir was really, siya naman talaga yung mukha nung bad boys ng Pistons.
Yeah.
I mean, si Isaiah yung leader, pero if you're talking about the brand of defense that the Pistons had during that time, it was Laimbeer. Laimbeer and Mahorn, actually, diba?
Like, hindi, like they were saying, diba, the modern day, the Pachulia thing, no? The thing with, like, I don't like that comparison was because Pachulia was not close to skill of Laimbeer is.
Oh.
And it's not that kind of, I mean, he's important, but it could have been anyone there. Plus the fact that Pachulia is not taking as much hit. Alam mo yun, parang Laimbeer as much as he's giving, he's taking a lot also. Every time. It's not getting calls. And he's not, sa mga napanood ko na luma, is not really, alam mo yun, alam niya, ginawa niya eh. So, if he takes, walang foul na tinatawag sa kanya, alam mo yun, phantom
yung phantom foul.
Like, it should have been the first 3 bits. Sorry guys, pero alam na lahat, walang foul doon. Alam na lahat, walang foul doon.
Yeah.
So, yun. So, Bilambir sa akin yung pangatlo. Pero, if I'm being honest, nandun si Dumars at si sa dalawa.
Okay.
Ikaw?
Sa akin, overall, although hindi successful yung teams niya, ang pinaka-paborito ko talagang Pistons player si Grant Hill.
Nice.
No,
Sobrang
kasi
humble ng taong yun, no?
yun na nga, the personality. And I guess also because siya yung umaangat na Pistons player. Well, actually, NBA player during the time na high school ako. So, parang, yun talaga yung parang, kailangan mong, sobrang naging fan na talaga ako ng basketball. That's when I started really looking at more into the history of the Pistons. And for me kasi, Grant Hill was that first player na nakita ko during my time na nakakapanood ako ng basketball na was able to dominate the game in more facets than just scoring.
Yeah, without being the Robin.
Yeah.
Diba?
The Robin. That's where, diba?
Diba? Kasi we know the other guy.
Yeah, the other guy. Diba?
That plays the same. Pero this one is a superstar. Legit. That doing that point forward shit.
Yes, exactly. So he was he was, kumbaga, he was LeBron James before LeBron James ever came to be. And he was a very much better Scottie Pippen. Yan, sasabihin ko na yung pangalan. Scottie was a very much better Scottie Pippen.
And honestly, at that time, there was a short time that NBA was his.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
diba,
everyone is accepting, like, alam mo yun?
Siya na yung heir apparent. Di ba? Yun eh. Siya na yung, parang all-star games, kahit na rookie ba, second year niya. Siya yung, siya yung top vote getter. Yep. He was the most popular kasi a lot of that was fan votes, di ba? So, he was the most popular player.
Yes.
And it was a consensus in the NBA. He was supposed to be the next guy up, but
it's the first time na pumayag si NBA
na Pistons yung
Pistons yung hahawak ng NBA. I agree with Grant Hill.
Yeah.
And then pag been an all-time great kung hindi siya he was an all-time great kung hindi siya na injury. Should have been really.
Yeah. And we're the Grant Hill the consensus number 1 pick, no? Bears a lot of resemblance to Grant Hill. They're calling him the next Grant Hill, but we'll talk about that later on. We can actually start talking about that now. Yun. So let's move into the meat. Let's move into the meat of why we're actually doing this at this point in time, no? Kung bakit we could have done it later on, pero ginusto namin ni Greg kailangan ngayon kasi gusto namin.
Bago sila magkamali pa ng pick, magkamali sa.
Di ba?
Malapit na eh.
Malapit na. Sa Friday siya dito sa Pilipinas, Thursday dun sa States. So
hindi sila magkamali. Anyway, kinakabahan ako, pero go.
Ayun, sinong top pick mo para sa iyo? Sino ang dapat na kunin ng Pistons? Ito pala ang mas magandang question. Ano ang dapat na gawin ng Detroit Pistons sa number 1 pick nila ngayong 2021 draft?
Because na-mention ko before we start na parang I've always seen picks unless you're seeing a Shaq or a LeBron. I've always seen building a team, yung actual building a team. Alam ko manggagaling siya lagi sa pick, pero nakikita ko siya as always a gamble that na the results were hindi siya lagi based on kung ano sila during the time nung picks nila. So hindi ako ganun ka-high lagi sa picks in general, like it's a make or break thing. Like I believe kung ano man yung napili, if depende ko sa siya mapupunta, things would change. Alam mo yun? Like if Melo was drafted in a team, alam mo yun, like
the Pistons instead of Darko.
Exactly. But again, hindi ako galit doon sa pick na yun, honestly. Like, I mean, if hindi tayong, ang wish ko doon ay sana hindi tayo yung number 2 pick. Because whoever got that number 2 pick, kung hindi tayo yun, they would be, people forget this. Kahit sinong lagay mo doon, they would be getting Darko. And honestly, at that time, they would actually get Darko kung iba na punta doon.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, coming in that idea, I always believe na kung sino yung highest prospect and who is, like, said by most, ako, feeling ko kasi may consensus naman yan eh, in a way, no? Pwede magkamali, pero you don't wanna add more risk. So, get kung sinong consensus number 1 pick. Every time. Kung sinong the highest. Don't draft for position, ever. Unless you're talking about 10 below.
Yeah, after the 10th pick, so or even probably after the lottery na pick number 15 onward.
Yeah, 15 onwards, yeah. Like if you have a good point guard, whatever, if the best is a point guard, then get a point guard. If the best is center, get the, kahit hindi tayo center playing team, get the center.
Figure it out later on na lang, eh, no?
Yeah. So I guess obvious kung sino yung choice ko for that. Just because of that same kasi because I would never really know. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not the scout. Ako personally. And I think scouts have their reasons. I mean, kung gusto nyo yung sabi ko nga, kung gusto mo si Green, lagi ko sinasabi sa Pistons group, if you want Green to be picked sa first, he should have made himself the number 1 pick. That's what I believe. Why he is not the number 1 pick. It's not my fault. Alam mo yun? So
nice, good insight.
So, like kung si Cade ay number 2, I would say the same. Don't get Cade. Get Green.
Mhm.
So yun, just because I don't want to add more risk, people forget that it's a lottery pick.
Mhm.
Alam mo yun?
May swertihan talaga.
Unless there's a Shaq, alam mo yun, or
Ah.
LeBron. Bihira yun eh.
Mm.
Bihira yun eh. Na there's those guys or Elijah Wan that alam mo yun, you just know. Di ba?
Wala nang tanong-tanong pa. Well, yeah,
Wala nang
it's a
tanong.
toss-up pa rin talaga. I mean, if you really think about it, it's a little bit of a toss-up talaga between
it's toss-up.
Cade and Green, no?
Yeah.
Personally, ako, I would, before we got the number 1 pick, I was always hoping that we would get Jalen Green. No, Jalen Green.
Okay.
Bakit? Kasi gusto ko na dumami ang mga Pinoy na Pistons fan.
Correct.
Yun yung sobrang ang babaw ng motive ko kung bakit gusto ko si Jalen Green ang kunin ng Pistons.
In fairness, mataas yung ano mo nung time na yun Expectation ko is we're gonna get number 5 na RC.
Oh, well, yeah, kasi the Pistons keep getting screwed when it comes to the lottery.
Sabi ko, swerte tayo pag nakakuha tayo ng Green. So, I'm with you with that. I'm not even thinking of Cade at the time,
Ako rin eh. Parang, mahirap. Hindi na natin kaya yung mga Cade Cunningham na yan.
Pinakaswerte natin ay Green. So, I was thinking actually na possible siguro si Suggs. Alam mo yun? At the time. So, Suggs Mobley yung topic sa akin at the time eh. Parang kasing ang hirap ni Green at lalong hindi si Cade. Alam mo yun?
Parang okay, sobrang swertihin na tayo kung nakuha
si
natin
Green,
si
di ba?
Cade.
Totoo yun. Pinoy nga.
Dahil nga sa Pinoy pride. Pero napanood mo ba yung pag-reveal nila ng mga picks?
Hindi. Nalaman ko lang pagkagising ko kasi napuyat ako. Pagkagising ko, yun yung pick. Wow!
Yeah. Sobrang, di ko maalala kung saan ko siya napanood, pero iba yung feeling. It's not like the feeling that we've gotten recently because of the win of Heidelin Diaz, no? Pero may iba pa rin, may ibang kurot yung nakita mong,
iba pa din.
and the number 1 pick goes to the Detroit Pistons. Tapos nakita mo si Ben Wallace pa of all people, yung representative ng Pistons.
Si Ben Wallace pa yung
gumanon lang siya. Yeah, so parang
pero napanood ko na yung video na yun. Pero tapos na, alam na ng lahat.
Sobrang iba yung feeling na yun. But yeah, ako rin, I mean, my favorite Pistons player of all time is Grant Hill. So yeah, it just follows that Cade, for me, Cade Cunningham should be the top pick.
Yep.
I mean, you have a 6'7", 6'8" facilitator. Some are saying that he's also an above average shooter. So I think that is someone that the Pistons need.
Yeah.
Hindi lang siya best talent available for me. Hindi na siya best talent available, but he's also
mentally.
the best kung position if we were drafting for position.
If we're drafting for agree ako.
Siya din 'yun.
Agree din ako. Like it shouldn't even at this point in time, like are you really looking for difference between point guard ba siya, shooting guard ba siya, anong nangyari kay Hayes, whatever. Like come on, we know it's a positionless, it's a front court back court thing. Sa panahon ngayon. So that's drafting for position, and Cade gives you a lot of possibilities. And honestly, recently naging issue na parang kaya lang niya sinasabi yung Detroit ganyan kasi he just wants to be number 1. Then good. You want a guy who really like sana lang ma-backup niya, pero I like the guy who would say I want to be the best in my position. Alam mo yun? Like halos bihira mong marinig yun, parang okay, he's out there to prove something, then go. Kaysa naman dun sa alam mo yun, let's see, ganyan parang
yung non-committal at least ito parang
kino-commit niya,
di ba? Like, kine-claim niya na I am your pick, parang gano'n na siya.
Kine-claim niya, and he's willing to risk kasi he put the pressure on him. I think that's yun yung pinakamalaga that people seem to forget. Like other kids na madadraft, they don't want that. They don't want that burden. Yeah,
the burden of being the number 1 pick, di ba?
This kid is willing to risk na mapahiya siya if he fails. So it's a do or die. Like it's either I'm gonna be a bust or a best. He put himself there. So I like that.
Yeah.
Now, kung mag-fail siya, edi we have someone to hate.
Someone to hate.
Hindi naman hate. We don't really hate anyone in the NBA. Alam mo, we don't really hate. Hate is something else.
Eto, just out of left field, no? Do you think that there is any scenario kung saan papayag ka na mag-trade down ang Detroit from the number 1 pick? I mean, recently nag-offer, just to give you context, no? Yung
SGA.
nag-offer si OKC, 'di ba, na SGA for the 6th pick for
and that was good. I just think you're playing with odds for me. Like kasi mas gusto kong mag-decide ka not, I mean, ako when it comes to things like malaki yung chances of luck, you don't know what things turns out, no? Mas forgivable sa akin yung just stick to the less risk, no? For that part. Mas mahalaga sa akin is after they get the number 1 and in 3 years things are not working out. Nandun ako sa anong gagawin ng management, doon kayo mag-trade. Hindi dito. Hindi dito sa pick na to. Like, if that was number 10 or 7, fine. Do that. Pero if you get number 1, like, alam mo yun, parang, hindi mo rin masasabi kung gaano kalaki yung difference
Yeah.
Alam mo yun? Like, si Doncic and Trae Young. Alam mo yun? That thing trading down. Like, kung nag-stick sila sa iba, it could have been good either way, di ba? So, ako, like, mas, na-mention ko na nga before, at na-mention din ng iba, parang, if Cade becomes a bust, you're not gonna be fired because of that. You get fired for not picking him.
Yeah.
And he's good. Like, if it's just equal, halos kay Green or whatever, and you didn't get Green and you get someone else, or whatever, like, if he becomes really something, you need to be fired. Because you had the chance to get the number 1 Yung isa kasi is you're playing with what if So, I don't like that kind of gamble. Because it's a gamble, but mo padadagdagan ng additional factors.
True.
So, yun lang yung akin.
Yeah.
Like I said, if Green was the number 1 pick, I would say the same thing. Get Green.
Yeah.
Yun.
Oh, you don't mess with the number 1 pick. Kunin mo na, kailangan ng team mo.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Diba? I mean, and ito pa, I mean, let's face the facts. They tanked for this pick.
Correct. Nagagalit pa nga sila, di ba, sa mga, ba't ayaw nyo mag-tank? Kala ko ba gusto nyo mag-tank? But suddenly, you're becoming greedy.
Oo, parang trade for assets, ganyan-ganyan.
That's greedy.
Oo. Yeah, I mean, kunin nyo na yung pick. Sobrang swerte na natin. Baka mamaya, 20 years na naman bago na makakuha ng number 1 pick, di ba?
And you know what? In general, I think hindi lang to Pistons. Nag-realize ko recently because of this. Because rare tayo makakuha ng mataas na pick in general. Na-realize ko, ang entertainment sa fans are pure potential. Like, if, let's say, nabaliktan natin, sabihin natin si Green yan. You know what? They would still be talking about those same people of getting other picks. Parang, they don't want what's given to them. They always want to see the what if. And that's what I saw na a lot of people just love that idea of trading kasi may potential. Pero when there's an actual player na given, I mean, that's the thing they're doing to Grant. I'm not saying it's good, pero gets ko legit yung iba, pero yung iba, they just want to trade for the sake of a potential na naman. And you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yun yung the bad thing about the popularity of yung NBA 2K. Kasi sa NBA 2K, pwede kang mag-trade, ganun.
Trade all you want. No?
Oo, trade all you want kasi siya. So, medyo bad thing siya na parang, okay, rebuild ako ng rebuild. Bagong lineup para sa bagong season.
Correct.
So, yun yung doon Yun yung bad thing ng ganun. I guess, yun. Oh, yun. So, yeah, I guess the consensus number one pick of Bad Boys Pilipinas is Cade Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham.
Yan. So, abangan natin yan. Oh, ito naman. Of course, we have three other picks. Yeah, we have three other picks. We've got number 37, number 42, and number 52. Sa iyong pagre-research, ano ang dapat gawin natin dun sa mga pick na yun?
I think they're looking at JT Thor. Kanina alam ko yung name eh. Ngayon biglang nawala sa dulo ko na sasabihin ko na. Ano ba yan? Nakakainis. Okay, ito. What we are supposed to get is this kid for 40... Tama ba? 42?
42 tayo eh. Oo.
Nawala yung name. Who's that kid? JT. Tingnan natin. Alam ko JT eh.
JT Thor.
JT Thor. Yon. JT Thor. Siya, dun sa tatlo, siya yung nakita ko yata. Tama di ba siya yung 42?
Well, when it comes to the second round, it's usually hindi na rin alam talaga kung
hindi na rin alam kung sino kukuha niya. I saw Bulls is also on high. Pero I think is a good another flexible guy. And again, defensive he can good footwork. Nakita ko siya parang I think kasi you always get players that shoots threes eh. Kasi that's the norm.
Yeah, especially now.
Especially now. But I think what makes or break is if you can have someone a potential of defensive and serviceable and okay sa offense. So if we can get that kind of guy, that's great. Though at that point, I think tingin ko lagi dun sa pababang pick, same as usual, it's more of a get who you think you can develop. Alam mo naman Pistons may problema sa development. So, yung kaya nyo i-develop wag yung masyadong hindi nyo pala kaya. Well, at least nagbabago na. Kaya sabi ko sa'yo, di ba, hindi ko alam yung management of how we are. Management. Pero get the person that you believe you could develop. And then, at willing kayong to work on. And yun, I guess yun, draft for need. That position.
For need na pagdating sa second round.
For need, yeah. Like if kung kulang tayo ng offense pa, pero I don't think actually problema nga natin yung kung sino ile-let go ngayon eh.
'Di ba?
Offensive wise, 'di ba?
Kasi ang dami na.
We need defense. Kasi ang dami natin offense.
Yeah. We already have 11 players under contract and nag-extend na ng qualifying offers kay Hamidou Diallo at kay Frank Jackson. Both scoring wings.
Exactly. And si Diallo di ba? Si Frank Jackson, gulat ka sa kanya. Like, etong bata na to, pag binigyan mo ng chance. I mean, you also have Sabin Lee.
Di ba?
I mean, that kid wants to take away the seat of
Killian Hayes.
And that's good. So, I think
I mean, important yun eh. I think yung competition, important yun eh.
Correct. So, parang hindi ako na-worry sa offense natin. Hindi ako nag-worry sa offense natin. I think
defensive-minded yun dapat na kunin natin if ever.
Dahil Pistons, alam mo yun. Like, naniniwala naman ako na parang the best offense kills the best defense. But you're looking one-on-one. But for a team, if they can dismantle you defensively and frustrate you, people think na yung defense is just one thing about stopping the ball eh. And I think what always works is what I learned from Bad Boys and Go to Work Pistons, seeing them more than that they're good defensively and their IQ as a team. It's more of parang the moment na kailangan mo mag-isip sa offense, nag-start na yung defense mo. So that's what I'm always looking for. So I don't care about people na good defensively lang in position, whatever. If you're not intimidating, like you're not making opponent second guess their moves, that's not enough for me as a defensive team. Sa akin, it should be like, ma-hassle dapat sila sa inyo.
So second round draft for maghanap na ng mga defensive specialist, ganun na yung ano natin.
I'm not kung meron, pero of course kailangan pa rin nandun yung offense, no? Pero kumbaga, like it's a plus prioritize guys who are defensive. Hindi actually kasi pag defense kasi that's the thing minsan ka hindi man lang sa defense if a guy dedicates himself in defense, hard worker yan. Kasi defense for me is really hard work. So mentally, check ka na. Like a person who dedicates himself sa defense and thinks about defense in this era, check ko na agad yung attitude niya. Matic na yun. Kasi it tells you that that guy is willing to do the dirty work. Basta hindi naman siya 20% sa yung shooting niya. Like walang shooting naman.
Wag naman yung sobrang ganun.
Wag naman ganun. Like may potential pa rin. Pero plus factor sa mga players like that. Kaya nung nakita ko I think that was JT Thor na parang okay, he has a good amount of block sa wing. For his size na slender, and he knows how to yung movements niya, like he doesn't stop pop, like he bounce and long enough. Sabi ko, okay, that's good. Nagulat ako na parang dami niyang steals sa wing. For nice. Matangkad siya, medyo lean. Payat, pero parang okay, that's good.
Si Giannis din naman, sobrang lean, sobrang payat nung simula
So, parang, pero I think baka kunin siya ng Bulls early on.
Well, malalaman natin yan. I mean, the Pistons have 3 picks in the second round, 37, 42, and 52. Who knows? And then si Troy Weaver, he's pretty good at wheeling and dealing those picks, no?
Correct. He's actually good.
Last season was last draft was a good example of that. He was able to get a lot of picks, despite the Pistons not really having that many picks to start with. To begin with.
Second round in general for me is not, hindi siya ganun ka-critical for me. It's a project kung sino man nasa second round, because our current issue is who can we keep the team. Kasi we have that team, I think. So mas issue pa yun sa akin of what you're gonna do
with the team that we already have.
With that we already have.
Yeah.
Nandun sa akin yung totoong work hindi yung after getting the picks It's like, okay, how do we develop?
Yeah.
Yun yung sa akin.
Well, one thing that I can actually really have to say is that the future is bright for the Pistons. No, the future is bright for the Pistons. Yeah, di ba? Yung maganda ng di ba? Sadiq, you've got Sadiq Bey, you've got Isaiah Stewart.
Dinraft ko sa fantasy yan. Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, sayang lang. I mean, we'll set aside an episode to talk about all of our young potential stars, no? But for now, the future is bright. Number 1 pick. Let's hope that the Pistons actually do get Cade, do draft Cade. Para sa mga hindi nakakaalam, the NBA draft is on July 29, 8 p.m. at the Barclays Center in New York sa US. Dito sa Pilipinas, July 30 siya, 8 a.m. Di ko alam kung saan natin siya pwede mapanood. Di ko alam if it's gonna be shown in the NBA on NBA League Pass or wherever. Baka sa pag may cable kayo, yon baka mapanood nyo siya. But I mean, the future is definitely bright for the Detroit Pistons. That's why kaming mga sportito na matagal na nag-aasam na muling sisikat ang Detroit Pistons dito sa Pilipinas ay talagang we're filled with hope.
Yes.
And kaya namin to nagawa, itong Bad Boys Pilipinas, na this is the maiden episode, ang kauna-unahang episode ng Bad Boys Pilipinas. Yeah. Okay, and that is it for us. Yeah. Dito sa Bad Boys Pilipinas. Once again, ako si Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon. At kasama ko si Greg Rodriguez na ngayon wala pa siyang moniker, pero soon enough, magkakaroon din niya ng moniker. Hanggang sa susunod, mga kalaro, mga ka-Bad Boys, stay safe.
Yep. Bad Boys for life.
Yon. This is Bad Boys Pilipinas.